Great Demon King. Chapter 18. Please let us off the hook. Fanny saw no reason to subject Han Shuo to more rigorous tests in his current state. After cleaning and dressing his wounds, she let him depart, assuring herself he seemed well enough in other respects. He drifted back to the warehouse in a swirl of silent worries. Lisa had seen through his act far too quickly, and he regretted the sly tricks he had pulled on her, especially since she would doubtless want payback. Preoccupied with these thoughts, he almost walked straight into two slumped figures by his door, Carrie and Borg. Their faces were a mosaic of bruises, still visibly swollen from the punishment Han Shuo had dished out earlier that day. Surprised to see them cowering by his entrance, Han Shuo paused, glancing around to make sure they hadn't set up another ambush. After carefully scanning the area and spotting nothing amiss, he moved to the washing area, selected a hefty rock, and then turned back to face them. A dull smile on his face, he asked, "Do you still want to fight?" The two trembled so violently at the sight of Han Shuo that Carrie, panic contorting his voice, tried to placate him. They confessed that they were there not for another round of brawling, but to beg forgiveness. Borg, quaking as well, held out a few pieces of silver, explaining that if they were expelled because of Fanny's report, their poverty-stricken families would suffer from the loss of income. Realizing they were there to plead for mercy, Han Shuo gave a mild shrug and dropped the rock. His harmless, slow-witted facade faded as he drew closer, planting both hands on his hips and gazing down at the miserable pair. They flinched, waiting for the worst. After a few moments of tense silence, he said flatly, "I don't want your silver." Carrie and Borg exchanged uneasy glances. They bent down on one knee, voicing pleas for leniency, repeating that they dared not provoke him again. Han Shuo urged them to stand, insisting he had no interest in coin. However, he laid out a condition. From then on, they would handle his routine chores, leaving him free to pursue more important tasks. Only on those terms would he intercede with Fanny and ensure they kept their jobs. Relief flooded their expressions. They lipped at the chance to avoid being dismissed, each babbling promises to work hard and never speak of Han Shuo's hidden strength. The tables had turned. Carrie and Borg were now on the hook for tasks they had once forced upon the old Brian, freeing Han Shuo to go about his own affairs at leisure. Nightfall was already setting in, and Han Shuo remembered Lisa's demands. He mentioned he needed to head behind the classroom building, and told the pair to keep quiet about everything that had happened. Should they breathe a word, he threatened, he would beat them so severely that they wouldn't recognize each other. Both nodded frantically, making no attempt to argue. However, as Han Shuo started to leave, Borg hesitated, then stammered a warning. Lisa had ordered them to rig several pits and nets to test summoned creatures. 3 booby traps waited in the shadows, designed with cunning malice. Han Shuo pressed them for exact locations, forcing every detail out of them. Once satisfied he knew how to avoid each one, he dismissed them with an order to clean the statues by the classroom building, announcing he planned to sleep late the next morning. Soon, he arrived at the winding path behind the dark magic classrooms, shrouded by artificial hills. Hidden behind a rocky outcrop, Lisa waited like a cat ready to pounce, eyes gleaming with mischief. She silently held a rope, the far end coiled around a precise snare set in Han Shuo's path. Her heart hummed with vengeful energy. She whispered silent threats to the damned Brian who had played her for a fool, lied about a refining recipe, and performed unspeakable pranks at her expense. As she watched, Han Shuo ambled onto the path, glancing left and right, calling out, "Lisa, where are you? Come on out." From behind the rock she shouted for him to approach, promising ill consequences if he didn't comply. Waiting for him to walk right into the loop, Lisa felt her grip tighten on the rope. The moment she saw his foot cross into position, she would yank hard, leaving him sprawled on the ground and entangled in a waiting net. Her pulse raced as he edged closer. Yet when his foot hovered over the loop, he suddenly froze, as if hearing something in the darkness. She nearly let the trap spring prematurely. Then in he moved again, but in the blink of an eye, he sidestepped the hidden trap, scanning the area with faux confusion. Impatient, Lisa emerged from behind the fake mountain. Without waiting, she demanded, "What took you so long? Don't tell me you need an invitation." Han Shuo feigned casual cluelessness. He pretended his back still ached, mumbling thanks for her help in tending his wounds. Then, as he drew nearer, snap, a sharp crack resounded, and the ground seemed to buckle beneath his feet. Han Shuo vanished with a frantic shout, as if he'd truly fallen into a hidden pit. Wails of pain drifted upward. A grin of unrestrained triumph spread over Lisa's face at seeing her plan succeed. Cackling, she rushed to the pit's edge, eager to hurl stones and barbed insults at him. She gloated over the humiliation he was about to endure. However, her victorious moment turned to horror when a hand shot out of the darkness, clamping around her ankle with a steely grip. Terrified, she looked down and realized that Han Shuo hadn't fallen at all. He was clinging to the edge of the pit, grinning at her with a wicked gleam in his eyes. "Come on down," he invited with a menacing chuckle and jerked her leg forward. Lisa's high-pitched scream echoed off the walls of the pit, her arms and legs flailing wildly as she toppled headfirst in after him.